and like I was, like wowed by the technology of blockchain and all of that. And I'm like, I mean, this is gonna be a thing, but I had to forget about it because it was really difficult, especially in our countries. Like, oh, how do you even get one? Like, I was trying to find how to buy, and it was impossible. And then people were like, no, but like you have to mine and you have to like get a rig up. And okay, I'm done. That's too much for me. Like,
Yeah.
I should have done it.
Alrighty, welcome back everyone to another freshly minted Fantom Edge episode. I have a very special guest and I'm really happy to have here. I have Liz Bazurto. ¿Cómo estás, Liz? How are you?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm
Nice to
doing
see
well.
you again, sobrino.
I I know, right? Sobrino. For those that don't know, sobrino means nephew in Spanish. And I got to meet Liz in person for the first Hola Metaverso event. And it's always nice to be around people you connect with, you relate to. And I really respect you, Liz, and I'm really excited to chat with you today. So let's jump right in. The first question I want to ask you, you have a very, very strong resume, a very strong career background. And I know you've talked about it, it hasn't been easy, but I'm very curious. Can you walk me through a little bit? You've been at Tesla, Merrill Lynch, now you're at Coinbase. Some people might say that's a very non-linear career due to the different industries that you've worked in. But can you walk me through a little bit about, your journey getting now into crypto based on your background?
Yeah, of course. And thank you again for the invitation. It's really
Yeah.
nice to be here with you. Yeah, well, actually, that's not even like half of what I've done in my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, not linear at all, like at all. Like I am a former civil engineer.
Mm.
That's like my first degree. Then I worked in the entertainment industry in Colombia for almost 10 years. So I was an actress. I was writing for
Mm.
TV and for film. And I had to come here, and there are a lot of reasons why. I don't want to get into much detail of that, but I ended up in the States, and always very passionate about sustainable energy. Um, like the lack of opportunities or tools for Latinos or even for people in general is also something that is in the back of my mind all the time. So when I came here, I had the opportunity that was my first job in the US, was working for Tesla.
Mm.
I was first in the solar side of the company, then I was transferred to the cars. And it was just like an amazing experience because I learned so much about the culture here. I got to see people from every kind of background.
Mhm.
And thankfully, I was able to, I learned pretty fast. That's
Yeah.
probably one of my advantages that I will
Yeah.
say. So I moved really quick and I was doing really well, but I was like feeling this, lack of fulfillment with what I was doing. Like it kind of became a routine at some point, and I was thinking like, well, I really want to work more like in the financial industry. And the reason for that is because all of these clients that I had at Tesla, many of them, even, well, like when I was doing solar, right, were like Latinos and had zero idea about how to like purchase a car, how to how the financing works, and like the credit scores, and that they didn't qualify, or I just saw a lot of people spending more than they should.
Mhm.
Sometimes I like, well, why you are doing this, right?
Yeah.
And one of those clients actually used to work in the wealth management industry, and he said to me like, well, you should like try this.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like everything at the same time, and I'm like, okay, yeah, like I love to learn new things. So I moved, I went into Merrill Lynch. I actually like looked for the job on my own. It wasn't like a referral of something.
Mm.
I was like applying on my own, and I went through the interview process with them, and like quickly I started to study for all of the certifications. So the traditional finance industry is very strict and it's heavily regulated. So I had to get first like all of these certifications, etc. And after that, I started to work with some teams inside the company, also as a sole practitioner. So I had my own clients. The pandemic hit, and that's when I became even more interested in Bitcoin again, because that was part of my past.
Okay.
And I think I mentioned sometimes to some people that always ask me, and I'm like, it's a long story, but when I was in Colombia, like I had a presentation about cryptocurrencies when I was doing my bachelor's in business administration. That
Oh,
was my
wow.
second thing, right?
Yeah.
And it was like in 2014 or 15. I kind of don't even remember. But what I remember is that everyone was looking at me like she's crazy. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that doesn't have any viability, right?
Yeah.
And I've been an entrepreneur since I was little. Like, I've always worked.
Yeah.
So I had my own e-commerce site, and it was like electronic payments, right? So I was like, well, I feel like this is gonna be a thing. Like I didn't have the full conviction or understanding of how big it could be. But for me, it was just natural, right? Like I was like, well, we are already doing e-commerce. We are already like doing so many transactions online. What is natural is that we have this type of currency in the future. And like I was, like wowed by the technology of blockchain and all of that. And like, I mean, this is gonna be a thing, but I had to forget about it because it was really difficult, especially in our countries. Like, oh, how do you even get one? Like I was trying to find how to buy, and it was impossible. And then people were like, no, but like you have to mine and you have to like get a rig of, and okay, I'm done. That's too much for me. Like I should have done it when I look back.
Of course, yeah.
But that's how it happened. So I kind of forgot about it. I had it always there, but I was like, with all of these difficulties, I never looked back. And at the moment that the pandemic hit, and even getting more immersed in the financial industry, it was just so sad for me to see many people that didn't have access to investing and didn't know how to do it. There is a lot of, there is just lack of education, even from starters. And like in the US, you even have more tools than we have in our countries if we want to invest in something, right? But yeah, so I was like, I want to look into fintech. And I started to look around, and that's how I found Coinbase. And like the mission of the company just resonated so much with me. I knew someone that was working for Coinbase, and he was coming from Tesla too. So I said to him, like, hey, that's cool. Like, he had been with the company for 3 months, and I was reaching out just to see if there was something. And he said, like, hey, I am actually starting my team in listings. Like, check it out. And if you like it, like, I can refer you. And then I started the whole process. So,
nice. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's clear to say that you've had this work ethic desde chiquita since you were younger. And like you said, it's been very non-linear. You said you were acting, and then you came into Tesla. You kind of were figuring out, some of these people can't even understand the fundamentals, right? And it's not their fault, whether it is or not, but you were like, okay, this is interesting. Merrill Lynch, now you're in Coinbase. And it kind of came full circle because, like you said, it's a Tesla, an ex-colleague of yours, like, hey, here's a process. So I appreciate you kind of walking us through this process, because I think it's very important, because I think Web3 in general has allowed people to kind of feel confident in this non-linear career path. I want to do something in crypto, but I come from real estate, for instance, right? And I want to jump in. So thank you for sharing that, Liz. And I know, kind of staying on the topic, I know you're a big advocate for people. Obviously, you mentioned education, for underrepresented groups. Can you tell us, you've come a long way. What is a tip that you could give people, again, who wants to jump into this space? Like, what should someone kind of take time to learn before they jump the gun? Any fundamental tip or mentality that you have for us?
That's a really good question, and I think it's a hard one because I'm not a huge believer of tips, if that makes sense. I think that at the end of the day, you have some core values in your life that are going to help you to move into what you want to move on, right? So I just think that everyone has to be curious, that you have to have a curious mind and try to learn, right? Like before jumping into something. And you're never gonna learn everything like at once because it's stupid. Like there are no experts in this space at this moment. And anytime I hear like conferences, like it's really interesting because I have the fortune to work with a lot of teams of decentralized applications, developers, founders, right? And like some of them are like the real OG people that have been in the industry or like into Bitcoin and blockchain since, I don't know, 2012. And they say to me like, there are no experts.
Yeah.
And they are OGs.
Yeah.
What we call OGs. And I'm like, yeah, like that's so true. So I think that just like, and try not to feel too overwhelmed, because also many people can say like, oh, it's complicated, I don't even want to look at it. Go at your own pace, but just keep an open mind and always ask, and you are gonna find what resonates with you too, right? Because not everything resonates with you. Like for some people, there are more specific line of businesses that actually resonate with them. So just keep an open mind, understand that this industry is still like baby. I feel that way, even though we have came a long way, but it's still. And so there are like a lot of opportunities in terms of what you can bring to the table.
Yeah.
So just like try to find what are your strengths that you think these can be applied here.
Yeah. And I think you're a good testament of that. Obviously, you shared with us already your journey. So I think and again, I know tips are hard, and like you said, it's just insight. So no, it's true. It's very fast paced. So I do resonate with that. And speaking of, coming a long way, Base made a lot of noise a few months ago, right? I'm curious, and for anybody that's going to listen and building in the space, I don't know, what can we expect? Is there something you could tell us a little bit? What can we expect in the next few months regarding Base, and kind of talk about the whole process of Base itself?
Of course, yeah. So this is, I think, the most exciting product that we have at the moment as Coinbase. It's not an overnight thing. The engineering team has been working on this for like years. And very few people understand that even though Coinbase was founded as a centralized exchange, the vision of the company was always like, how can we work towards decentralization? And it's not an easy path because of course you have regulations on one side to account. So that team was like the lead engineer, who is Jesse, who is like the head of protocols. They have been working a lot. They have been testing. They have been thinking about like even different networks, layer 1, layer 2. What can we do, right? So Base was born out of all of that. In like, hey, like we really need to find a path that is going to allow us to onboard the next billion people on chain. So instead of thinking about too complicated terms and taking advantage that Coinbase already has more than 100 million users verified, it's like, how can we walk them into living on chain, right? More than just buying a little bit of Bitcoin in the exchange or a little bit of Ethereum or maybe a staking. So we have like created a couple of tools that were already looking into that direction. So let's say after like we had the exchange, then we have more tokens, then we have the Web3 wallet, then we have the USDC, the USD coin, right? So all of that was like working towards an on-chain future. And Base, I think, is like one of the latest steps towards that. So it's super exciting. It's built with a stack, the full stack of optimism. The team has worked with them a lot on that. So yeah, we did the official launch a couple of months ago, already launched with like big partners, decentralized exchanges, gaming companies. And the idea is that mainnet is gonna be probably like summer, or it depends a lot on how, because this testnet phase, I think, is about working a lot with devs and see like the feedback and get to a point that we feel more comfortable into going mainnet. So yeah, it's really exciting. The idea is that basis for everyone, that is going to be a layer that helps to reduce the time of transactions and the cost of transactions on the Ethereum network.
Yeah. I know it's not official, but I know you said it's summer. So for those listening, you know, that's something to to take. Yeah, right.
You know, we don't have a date specifically yet. And something that we always say, there is no token, let's not speculate on this. And I mean, I think that that's even more proof of Coinbase trying to behave within what is good for the industry.
Of course. No. So yeah, thank you for sharing what's been going on. How obviously, again, you emphasize that it's been a years in work. You know, it's in some of the stuff that you go from centralized, how can we become decentralized from the, you know, that was a mission from the get-go. So the last question I have for you, Liz, before I let you go, you know, it's been an honor. Thank you so much for sharing all you've shared so far. But I ask everyone this: what are you bullish on this year, for the years to come, and what do you think is the future for crypto in general?
On chain.
There we go. Easy. Yeah.
I am a big believer of that. Just as we became online people, when internet, you know, just grew so much, and the next step is becoming on chain, and that's the technology that is gonna power pretty much everything. So that, like, in my personal opinion, sometimes you know, people think about like all decentralization, but like not everything, I think, needs to be decentralized. But if we have a technology that is going to allow us to have better cost and safety and like more transparency, then why not? So yeah, I am very bullish in the on-chain future.
On-chain. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm on the same boat as well. Obviously, I've been in the industry for some time now. You know, again, I was kind of like similar to you, where I fell in love back again with crypto back in 2020, right? But I had been experiencing this in 2017. So the whole on-chain thing has always been something near and dear to me, and obviously the team, right? To everyone. So Liz, once again, thank you so much for being here with me. It's been an honor, and I'm very appreciative of your time. I know you're very busy, but I know you have a powerful story to share with us.
No, it's a pleasure, and don't forget to follow you on Twitter, to follow me on Twitter.
Of course.
To follow Build on Base in Twitter, because we have like a Discord channel for the community, and we have been doing like a lot of exciting announcements, and like we are gonna do some workshops for developers. So yeah, like it would be great if people can stay tuned.
Well, thank you, Liz. Un abrazo y nos vemos pronto. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you soon. Bye. Thank you.
Take care.